So I've been using the SEQTRAK a lot for beat making lately, and I've really been digging the immediacy and creativity of its sequencer. The way the drum and synth sides are laid out gets a beat going really fast. But as a largely sample-based musician, I've run into one thing with its sampler that I want to talk about today. So per sample, we're able to change the start and end time, and we can do a loop. But one issue if you like to do a lot of sample sound design is that you can't actually go in and set chop points. So I've been testing out a couple of workarounds, and today I want to show you the best method I've found so far for doing sample chops using another piece of gear while still being able to take advantage of the SEQTRAK's immediate and flexible sequencer. So since the SEQTRAK can't chop samples, we're gonna need to work around it by using another sampler, and I'm gonna use Koala, and this is the sample that we're gonna use today. So once you find a sample, I'm going to just find a part of that sample that I like. And then we're going to chop it, and I'm gonna use the auto chop and just find the chop points that I think sound best. And then with that, we're going to need to sequence that on Koala because we need to create the loop on something else. And so we'll use the sampler. Here, we'll use Koala to do that. But now that we've got a loop going, let's put some drums on the SEQTRAK to see kind of what's gonna fit. Now that we like that, let's sample it into the SEQTRAK. So now we can actually build our song using the SEQTRAK, and I'm gonna use the app. It's a free app. It's actually really helpful if you want to get more in depth with the sampler or sound design in general. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you use the SEQTRAK. So with that, we already started building a simple drum loop. And I really like this loop. I think we'll change the sounds as we go, but we're gonna stick with this loop because it's actually a perfect fit for this beat. So I want the drums to hit a bit harder, so we are gonna change the sounds around a little bit. But before we do that, let's check out what we can do with the samplers. So if I hit the sampler, it takes us over to the sampler section on the app, or you could just click that over there. We have 7 samples. Now, yes, we could have sampled each individual chop, since I think we were only using 4 or 5, into a dedicated sampler slot here on the SEQTRAK. But I think one of the great things about the sampler is the fact that we have 7 slots here in the sampler in one project. So rather than take up all of those slots with just the one sample, we free it up for transition effects or other one-shots, sample loops, whatever. But if we click on the one we're using, we can check out what's going on in the sample. So if we wanted to make any changes like the EQ, we could go into the EQ if we hit sound design, and we could take out some low end and move all that type of stuff. There's also an LFO, so we could play with the filter cutoff. Get a little resonance. So let's hear what that sounds like. So that's, I'm not gonna keep that, but that is something we could do. So let's record this sound in so we have it, and then we can start building some other sounds on top. There we go. And then we can go in and actually choose if there's a different effect that we want on just this one sample. We can do that. Let's go maybe, I'm gonna put a little distortion. Let's bring that up a little bit. That works. All right, now let's get a bass on here. Let's see one we might like. I'm kind of thinking more of a real bass type sound. Upright could be good. Pick open, let's see that. And if we hit Alt and key, we get a keyboard. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's record that. And then one thing that's cool with the screen is we can actually go in, and if I wanted to correct things a little bit, like let's say if we wanted to quantize this one a little bit, that first hit, I don't mind the rest being a little off, but that first one I want to hit a little closer. Yeah, that works. Okay, so let's get out of that, and I want to add some grit to that. So I'm gonna go over here and on synth 1, we already have an amp sim. So I just want a little grit added there. And then we can take down the volume. Okay, so let's go into the DX. I want some sort of like mallet maybe. Let's see, let's get that keyboard back. That might work. Oh, I like that. Let's record that in. And then if we wanted to, that saves synth 2 for a pad or something if we wanted. So let's actually take advantage of the awesome per step automation changes we can make in this sequencer. So let's go in and first, I'm gonna raise the volume a little bit, make sure that pans to the left a little bit, and then we'll go in and let's actually drop the per step volume. So you can see when it becomes purple, that means we're changing the volume. And then I'm gonna take, every time there's a kick or a snare, I'm gonna lower the hi-hat. So it kind of sounds like it's moving. I'm also gonna add a kick here that's gonna be more of a ghost kick. Yeah, I like that. That's better. And if we wanted to, we could extend the bars so that there's a little more variation and stuff like that. But I think that's fine. And then also, let's take a clap and let's get a mega reverb clap. We're gonna go to single effect. I'm gonna change the effect though of the reverb. I want a big reverb. I wish there were some bigger reverbs in here, but that'll work. You can get a pretty decent length one in this SPX room, but we're also gonna do the cutoff so we take out some low end on that. And then I'm gonna lower this bass a little. And then over on the sample, we can actually do some reverb send just to add a little more depth to that. All right, so I think we've got a pretty solid beat. I'm gonna make a couple more tweaks to the drums and maybe extend some patterns around, but that is my current workflow for getting sample chops into the SEQTRAK. I love samplers, and I wanted to get the SEQTRAK more to have a groove box with a sampler like the SP404 or with Koala Sampler. That being said though, the fact it has sampling is a nice addition, meaning that you can at least, or theoretically, I could use this standalone and have a sampler and a groove box put together. Now, without sample chopping, that does become a bit limited, but Koala is under $20 with all of the updates and things like that, and I've always got my phone on me. So yeah, you need a couple cables and things like that, but at least I can still do sample chopping and then move it into here. Now, again, we could put individual slices on these samples, and if you do that, let me know in the comments. That's something I probably will explore, because if I want to make B sections and things like that where the sample changes, it might be nice. But I just feel like 7 samples is a little bit limited for the chops I like to make. So I would rather have a fully looped version of the chop put on one, and maybe just make a couple of different variations for pad 2, pad 3, and things like that. But yeah, it would be awesome if they could add some form, even a very basic form of sample chopping. So we'll see. I know it's gotten at least 1 or 2 updates. I'm pretty new to the SEQTRAK, but let me know in the comments if there's anything you'd like to see in the SEQTRAK. The next video in the series will be out in a couple weeks. I'm going to be talking ways to make the most of the SEQTRAK. So if you have any tips or tricks that you think work, I'll put that in the community section in that video. And if you want to see my full first impressions on the SEQTRAK, check out this video next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.